Hey guys, this is Vinil Chandra, co-founder and CEO of Squarebox and Hyno. Currently, I have both startups. Coming to my journey, I started way back in 2016. I completed my graduation from Abits Pilani, computer science, and then worked for 2 years for a startup as an Android engineer. So after that, I started Wash App. That was my first startup in laundry space in B2C space, and ran it for like 3-4 years. And before we had to exit it, shut it down. And then I started something called Hyno, which is into building remote teams for startups. And later it transformed to building teams for remote US startups. And then my recent thing after AI coming up, so we started something called Squarebox AI, so which is kind of a WhatsApp powered by AI agents for SMBs focusing on real estate, edutech, in this kind of domains where we are trying to help the automation of their customer engagement, support, and marketing through WhatsApp automation through AI agents. So after my graduation, I started working for startup. I always knew that I wanted to be something else, like maybe building a company or doing something different, not a regular corporate. During my internship, I realized, okay, working in corporates is not my thing. After working for like 6 months in something called Sabre International in Bangalore, I realized like, okay, this is not the culture that I'm right fitting in, like seeing myself in the next 10 years. So then I realized I have to work for startup, and then I choose rather than MNC, I choose startup so that I can learn all kinds of domain understanding of different domains in the business. And later, it was not exactly when I was ready. I thought I will take another 2-3 years, but I tried something preparing for civils, exactly for like a couple of months. But I'll tell you like backstory here, why we take some decisions, how much we are influenced in this kind of society that we are in. So the way we entered, I mean, the same story like being in Telangana and brought up in Hyderabad. So whole story is like everybody is like pushed to IIT or doctor. That's all. You have two options, and every time you get into an option, you never know. Like your parents take the decision, you don't have real interest in what you wanted to be. So this time, I don't want to repeat the mistake before preparing for civil. So what I did was spoke with good number of IAS officers through some network, through some help, and I mean, I just wanted to understand the job just for the sake of it. Everybody is celebrating IIT or IAS or IIM, so I just don't want to get into the trap of what is highly celebrated. So I just wanted to understand, is it really I'm passionate about? And after my research, I really understood the way exam is, the way reality, the work is. It's completely different, and I thought, no, this is not my cup of tea. And I realized, and later my co-founder Dheeraj, so who pitched in me, like he was from NIT Warangal, and he was being an engineer in Maruti Suzuki. He had this idea, like the space was very unique because that was the time, like 2010, the startups came in, the last first 4 years of startups in Bangalore. And you see all of your seniors, like maybe out of 600 people in bits, like maybe like 5 people started something in that kind of space, and it was growing continuously year by year. So what we realized is, okay, why don't we give a try? And we are very young. When I started, I was 23 or 22, something like that. So we thought, okay, some space, some problem, and my friend felt like laundry was his problem, and we thought, why don't we give it a try? And back in 16, we started something called Wash App, in the same way where the current incubation T Hub was also launched in the similar time, and we got incubated in T Hub. And it's all nothing. You don't know nothing about business. You don't know anything. You started learning one by one what is tech, what is app. You know only a basic tech because you hardly we had like 2 to 3 years of experience. What I really understood is like building a team. That's what I am always good at, trying to find the collaboration wherever it is required. And we built the app in like 2 months and started in one particular area in Hyderabad. And I mean, thereafter the learnings were like amazing, like because you have this is a highly operationally intensive startup where you have to talk with people on ground, handle people, handle delivery boys and all that. And we raised friends and family around and pushed all the money in there, worked as delivery boys, went to homes, understood what customer is really looking at, what was the price point. So we started with an aggregator model where something like Uber, well, that's all we know. And we are very young, you don't understand why you do something, you just copy paste. I mean, this has been the trend in 15-16, you copy the Western idea and you do it. And we are also following the similar way rather than understanding what really customer wants. So then we realized, okay, customer wants something more on quality, where we are not able to figure out the aggregate model, and we took a pivot and had a centralized setup facility that can handle around more than 1 to 2 lakh garments every month. So then we started setting up that, worked on a lot of logistics, algorithms, and all that. And later point in 2018, and we had like everything was going good. We understood customer problem. He was happy, and we are able to get repeat orders. That's what I used to measure always, how much we are able to retain or how much is the retention rate, because we cannot bring new people and just acquire them and they lose for 1 2 orders. It won't work. And we had at a point where we had like 27 or 28 delivery boys in our system, and we were working on Hyderabad west side area, and we were never understood the challenges. We every time took it as a challenge and tried to push whatever we could do. And I'll tell you an interesting story what happened. The funding war happened between Swiggy and Zomato, where like both of them heavily funded. So what we used to pay for a delivery boy back in 17, something like, it was around 8,000 to 12,000, something like that. So it skyrocketed to not even 20, 30, it skyrocketed to 40,000 rupees a month. And all my delivery boys left in a month. Like out of 27, only 7 people left. So imagine that kind of challenge with bootstrapping, being in Hyderabad, not having enough funds. It's quite tough to understand that space. So then you, every time you take a challenge, you accept it, you go on doing it. So similarly, we try to handle getting some people from Bihar or somebody where we have set up their homes, where we used to go very minute details of designing the laundry bag, designing everything, each step by step we used to design, because we're very young, not sure like which one to focus. But all these are like great learnings that we had in our startup. And by 19, like I realized like things are not in our way. Like the unit economics, even though we cracked the unit economics, the kind of scale, the price that we are operating in, the logistics cost and all that, we realized it's high time that we have to take a call. We don't want to get into premium. We thought we had to be affordable and take the mid segment, but we realized it's not our cup of tea, and we took the decision. Biggest learning of that is like not having blind love for your startup. That was my biggest learning of my first startup. Understand your numbers, what they speak, what customer is saying, try to learn and pivot. This is what the biggest learnings from my first startup. And before COVID, we shut it down. And what to do after that? So we had a good tech team and good designers, marketing guys, and all that. So what we realized is like I've seen a lot of energy that is coming in Hyderabad. I mean, other startups where they're struggling to build teams. Maybe they have idea, they are not able to build a tech team and all that. So that interested me. So I started consulting, freelancing in that space, and then started small projects. And it's more on startup space, not like a regular software projects and kind of thing, but wanted a startup where you have where they wanted to build the 0 to 1 journey. And then we realized, okay, this is an interesting space to solve. And then we started working for Bangalore startups as a consulting mode before we started Hyno. Once we got enough understanding of how things are going, I worked for Bangalore as a remote developer myself. And way before COVID, like this before COVID, I also had a remote opportunity that I was working. Then I understood these remote teams, developers, and the pay. It was quite interesting. And then we started something called Hyno with the same team, and started working for more than 15 startups, build a team, scale it to like 65 people team back in 2022. And we were doing almost a 1 million ARR almost at that point of time. But again, the challenges will always remain. It is not always you'll have the good period or happy thing. Sometimes again, the layoffs and 2023 layoffs really hit us very hard. And suddenly the way we are able to get new startups was very difficult. And again, we have cut down our team size 40, 30, and something around 25 right now. So that's how the journey about Hyno. And last year I was in US for 4 months, and I've been talking to founders in terms of building remote and all that, because we took the wave. We really understood the remote wave is very serious and all that, but there is a border for it. Now people are, it's the belief in remote culture is not that what it used to be in 2022. And we realized, okay, this will go organically only. I don't want to push a lot of money into sales and marketing. And then we realized, okay, let's do something else. And I just, being in SF, being in Silicon Valley, understanding, talking to a lot of AI founders, and really like the way AI is progressing, being a tech guy, I've seen how AI is changing things, and then I thought I wanted to do something in AI space. And then the startup called Squarebox, and what we realized is how this powerful AI models are, and how can we help the small businesses to utilize these powerful AI models. That's the idea. And later we realized all the small businesses operate on WhatsApp. So why not WhatsApp with AI agents? That's the idea. So we started that in last August and we launched it in December, and we have like 20 customers now. Everyone is paying. So not great churn, but we're trying to figure out the volume game and trying to understand more of a problem, how it works. So we're trying to bring agentic calling, automatic agent replies through all the powerful models that we have, and enabling more how they can efficiently convert their leads. That's the whole idea of all SMEs struggle with. So we are in that space of customer engagement and converting leads. Okay, I'll tell one thing that happened during my college. My professor had an interesting goal. He told he wanted to achieve something called 500 person years. So what is meant by person year is like if you employ one person for a year, it is called 1 year. Okay. So, as a professor, I don't know where he got that story, but he really told us the story. As a professor, I can't achieve this because I'm not an entrepreneur myself. I wanted my students to achieve that. So, when he told me that, he told the story like I wanted to achieve 500% years. All he had a maid, all a cook, that's all, two people. Even you employ for 10 years, you get 20 years. So, his life ambition is to get 500 years. How he's going to get from students is the idea. So he pitched me. A lot of people they were in the class. He's saying, whatever you achieve in maybe 5 people employ or 10 people or 100 people for 1 year is like 100 years, right? So he used to ask us like 20% of that has to be contributed to his ambition. So I thought like it's a random number, right? So he told me what you wanted to do by 2025. He asked me like how many years you will contribute, Vinil. I crazily said 30. So 30 is like I have to achieve what more than 200 years I have to achieve in by 2025 by age 32 or something like that. So I told 30 and everybody was like, they understood they're going to masters and everybody was like, I'll give 1 year, 2 years or 5 years. Everybody was like that because it will take at least like 2050. But somehow I was aggressive that I will do something else. And that understanding of doing it really interested me. And when I was preparing for civils and all that, what I really understood, even when I got an opportunity being studying at BITS and all that, so coming from very rural town background and all that, I see a lot of my friends from my schools were not able to get into where I am. So I don't see there's a lack of talent, but I always see that as a lack of opportunity. So this really took for me like it took very deep inside me like why opportunity is not democratized, why opportunities are not everywhere, why people studying in a bit good college is only getting opportunity, why not somebody else. Always had this understanding why this unfair, because even I was able to get into a story and then I was able to get a job and all that. But I see a lot of talent that got stuck because of financial thing or some other things that they were not able to do. And I always wanted my everybody to progress. That was the idea. That was the idea behind even preparing for civils. But when I understood being an IAS officer, when I met people, doing alone, you're dumbest. Like you cannot even hire your subordinate or a junior, even you're an IAS. You cannot choose anyone. A single person, even my plan, my idea, everything is on paper is really good. Executing it, you need a great team. So that point I realized when IAs are like, even though they have a lot of intention to do, they cannot do because your subordinates or your employees or people working under you, they cannot be honest or they cannot guarantee any execution. So I really felt the structure of government itself is very much flaw and it has fundamental flaws in the way they are executing things. And somehow, okay, I thought, why don't you want to bring some change or some value? And I thought interesting was alternative was entrepreneurship, and then my co-founder when he pitched the idea, and then I took the leap and just blindly went into it because I thought something I can learn here and do some contribution to that. So that was a whole kida where it started. I did counted and I mailed my professor back. I did. I mean, I promised him 20 years. I gave him 20 years because we had delivery boys that I was able to achieve that. And even through Hyno, I was able to do because I've employed more than 50 people for more than 2 years. So that's more than 100 years. Till now, I have achieved like 250 years. So I promised him by 2025. Somehow I was able to do that by employing that many number of people. But maybe employees changed. It was for Wash App for quite some time, and then Hyno we have employed some number of people, and now coming back to Squarebox, we are trying to employ again. But whole idea was this, and I still being in entrepreneurship, being in this journey of understanding, I still feel you only need entrepreneurs in this country. Nobody else is required. You don't need. I mean, you have enough. I mean, we are wasting a lot of youth energy pushing them to government jobs or IAS, especially because all my friends, like I have like four of my best friends who tried for IAS and wasted the 6 years of their time. Everybody is brilliant in their own way. So I feel like being everybody saying like India has all the demographic dividend, and we are saying like we have the youth population, but where are our youth are spending their time? Nobody is having enough skill, very low confident, only working for jobs, and the mindset is not changing at all. So this is real question, and that's why I started. I mean, I never spoke about this. I thought I wanted to reach a level where people will listen, but later I realized whatever this 10 years of journey is very good. For people to inspire or people to understand this is important, then I started speaking out, telling about my journeys openly. Like even it's a failure, I really wanted to embrace that. I mean, that was the biggest fear during Wash App and even for Hyno. So you always fear of failure because nobody in your society or family accepts failure. I mean, they are not ready with that. They always wanted a secure thing for you or your family, and nobody trained you to fail at anything. They don't want their children to fail. But I really feel like the failures only like made me what I am today, and the failures only really helped me what mistakes I did in my first or second, or maybe I'll do in my third, or I'll continuously do in my fourth startup as well. But this failures taught me, and the speed of execution changed, and I built Squarebox in like 2 months, and my I got my first paid customer in like what 3-4 months. So it was that fast because now you understood all kinds of operations in the business. You need what kind of person you need for sales, marketing, product, design, tech, operations. So I was able to figure out what all you need to run. So all this 10 years of experience now, when we started, I always wanted to see there is some scalable story in whatever I do. So that's what I feel like we should be capable of, not running a regular business where there is a limited growth story. I had always had this growth mindset. The opportunity should scale, or it should able to provide opportunity to millions of people in whatever way we are trying to do that. So coming to Wash App also, when we are trying to do, I was very happy when I was providing employment and all that. So why I got to shut it down and all that. So when we are able to understand the economics of scale, or things are not going very fast, then I realized I can set up like 10 franchisee stores or 20 franchisee stores and run it as a business. But I really felt that was not my cup of tea. I don't want to get limited there. So, and the way I was trying to push, it was not going in that direction. And I realized the feedback was at the right point. I got the feedback and I took the step. And coming to Hyno, even a similar journey like that. Uh, Remote, wherever I pitch, people wanted remote teams, people wanted extraordinary developers, where our expertise was good at vetting, where we are able to vet good developers. I mean, you have to do the experiments very fast. So it all happens in the 0 to 1 or 0 to 2 years only. So the more number of experiments you do, I mean, this requires a lot of work, because every time you think something, you have to execute, you have to take the feed and pivot, do the direction, understand where your customers are, do multiple experiments, get it done fast, so that you will understand whether it will scale or not. Or is this so? Always you have to find the right delta. So what I mean to say is like there are a lot of tech companies or startups or SaaS businesses out there, but how, I mean, whenever you're pitching your idea, how fast the response from customer, like how much you are accurate in telling their problem that you're trying to solve. So if you're trying to tell accurately that this is the problem they have, and they acknowledge that, and your solution really fits into that and very easy to adapt, and they really see the difference, either it could be time or money or something like that, efficiency or money, and people will pick it up and it will scale very fast. And I have seen enough number of examples, but it always depends, like whether you had that idea or whether you have the solution, right solution that really fits into their biggest problem is the question. So always figuring out that was always the initial stage of business I look at. And once you cross the 0 to 1, things are okay. Once you solve the problem for enough number of people in that segment, now the growth stage comes in, where how do you meet all the people in the world having the same problem. Suppose I am solving for a real estate guy who's trying to sell 200 flats, who's not able to manage their customer engagement. So I wanted to find out, once I was able to solve and they're very happy, the next growth journey, and this journey is completely different from 0 to 1. So here you will have a lot of experiments. Here you don't have experiments. Here it's all about finding the channels, finding the funnels of growth, and just pushing it, scaling it. So that I could see these two journeys is what very much needed. Apart from beyond growth, I mean, I was not really into that game yet, so maybe that's a different game to play. But I'm very comfortable in understanding 0 to 1 journeys of startups. I think the first breakup happened in 2018, and when I realized things are not in your way, and where you struggle every month to pay salaries, month on month, almost at the end you are able to solve that. But it was very tough. I mean, we are very young. We had very much faith in what we are trying to do, but our knowledge was very limited. But always we have like this blind faith. You hear success stories of very big people working for 20 years, 30 years. You take those stories as inspiration and try to push an idea which is really not worth it. So I had my first breakup when it took a lot of time to recover my expenses at age of 27, having a loan of more than 80 lakhs. uh, then I got the story of mental story. Like, I got introduced to anxiety. So then I understood, okay, there is something called you can be anxious, or you're thinking, overthinking a lot of stuff and all that. So when I realized all that, just having that ability to start again, doing a job is not a bad thing, or failure, accepting that failure, it took a lot of time, but it was the biggest lesson I learned. Like, because people identify you with your first startup, and we got this random tags like CEO and big tags at the age very young age. We thought we get attached to it, and suddenly you back into a senior engineer or architect, and this is all very small things behind comparing to CEO. So it took time. I had mild anxiety and all that. Then I started building on health. So that journey was very critical. Somehow, when I started building Hyno, and the opportunities that came in very fast. I mean, I never 3 years of time that I spent in Wash app, where I used to struggle for more than 15, 16 hours to make something work, was very tough. And the same thing in Hyno, where I really didn't work for more than 8 hours at Hyno, but things used to work. So, and I was able to recover all that, and I was able to manage my finances better. I understood a lot of things, and then I understood the value, right? So the back idea, right? Sometimes idea is very much easy. Like, the gap is good, your placement at right time, at right customers you have, things can easily flow. You don't need to work also. Like, it's not that you have to push a lot of energies to make sales as well. So people, you have enough talent. When I was doing Hino, and people were ready to, lot of demand. I mean, that kind of cycle if you are in, so things would be easy. Then I understood, okay, it's all about opportunities you have to understand, rather than having a blind faith. So sticking to the numbers always helps. Have a timeline, stick to your numbers. If you're not able to achieve that numbers, or suppose in Wash app example I would like to give. So we had an acquisition cost number that we had, and we have a target retention rate. If you are not able to achieve that retention rate with this target customers, the way you are acquiring, and I wanted to shut it down. That was the number I last finally I took a decision on that. So that helped me to like shut it down at that point of time. Coming to Hyno, also similar way, like back in 23, not shut it down, but I understood not pushing a lot of money into sales, because the demand is not that great. When the demand is not there, you pushing a lot with your sales and marketing, sometimes the lead conversion will be very difficult. So then I thought, okay, there's another way of doing it, which analyzed into more of open community driven model for Hyno. And last 2 years we've been with that. So that's on Hyno. Like, the whole summary was trying to believe in numbers, and coming to mental thing. And yeah, this is still a problem with me, my co-founders, and as well. So we struggle with that. So somehow I understood, if you're not mentally strong, see, being a founder is very tough. To think about multiple domains at each point of time, handling your employees, their concerns, this is like, you need a lot of mental strength to handle each of this. And you will have challenges. You have, sometimes you have to, I mean, you have to be very versatile in wearing hats. So I used to be tech guy, I started going to deliveries. I did in Mosh app. When I was developer, I used to do the sales. If there is a bug fix I wanted to do, if my knowledge is required, I used to go in and do it. So every time I used to do my wearing multiple hats, and there used to be tough conversations. Doing layoffs, sending off an employee is very tough. All this is I have learned being strong and all that. So for that, like keeping up your health is very very important. And after 10 years, if you're not mentally strong, if you're not doing enough exercises or meditate, whatever it is, like keeping your mental sane very correct, otherwise things will not move in the direction that you wanted. So keeping health as priority is what I learned in this 10 years. So after that, like now I play badminton regularly, I go to swimming regularly, and all this helps. I do meditation regularly. All these activities really help channelize your energies better, make them function better. And one more thing, we were very aggressive, and one of the biggest learning is like aggressive is good enough when for a period of time. Not, you cannot be like putting a lot more hours every day and pushing a lot. That's not really right. So going slow, uh, trying to have the problem, uh, talk to customers, spend enough time, build the right solution, because startup is not at all a sprint or something like that. It's a marathon for sure. So for a marathon, people prefer prepare for months. So similarly, I have to prepare for months to handle this kind of marathon. It's a decade thing for me. Whenever I start something, I believe that could be a decade thing. If numbers are not working, you still have that kida to do something again, build another startup with another decade, assuming like that you wanted to put for that. I read a lot of books whenever I get time when doing startups. It could be through, I mean, online blogs or something like that as well. So, a couple of books. One is like High Performance Entrepreneur by Subrata Bakshi was one book, and Netflix ka bhi, No Rules Rules is a good book. So this is more of what I really struggle is like nobody tells you their early journeys where, because you're doing 0 to 1. People speak about their acquisitions, all the big things and all this stuff, but you always trying to understand this 0 to 1 journeys. So even the 0 to 1 book, even the Peter Thiel and all that, these books are also good. I mean, a couple of books really helped me understand experiments. The Lean Startup book that really helped me, and Netflix Rules is more of on building the culture, right? So how you gonna build culture and what kind of employees you're bringing in, how you gonna tell. I mean, always I worry about ownership, not the CEO or a co-founder. I wanted every person in the company to have an ownership of everything. I mean, I'll give all the freedom that they want. So this is kind of more of inspired from couple of books, and also, and so having ownership at each point of view. Even it's a delivery boy, he used to have ownership of some things that we used to give to him. And even in Hyno, it's like whenever we are hiring an engineer, it's not like we are not micromanaging anybody. So I still don't micromanage. Literally, even I do. I mean, some departments I still do, but majority of structure I always wanted to follow, not to have any micromanagements. So that is one big lesson. And in high performance entrepreneur, I think I could speak a lot about building culture. I see a lot of startups struggle with having their only domain expertise. Like people are good at tech, they build apps, they just stay like that. No, that's not how it works. This is a business. This, you have customers. Whenever you are running a business, you should have all the enough people in your company handling all the departments. It could be HR, it could be sales, it could be marketing, it could be tech. Even a designer is important. Even a GTM guy is important. So unless you have all these domains, uh, you're not running the business. You're just making. You're trying to build. Even building amazing features won't help you anywhere. So that's the biggest lesson. That I mean, hyper. I mean, it talks about as a Mindtree founder. So he talks about a lot of consulting and all that. But the lesson is something like that. Like whenever you have all these operations to run smooth, so you need all the departments. One big lesson that I always adapt is like the change resistance of bringing any change in the company, where we will have very low resistance. Like I always bring adapt to new things very fast, and I always embrace change and make sure the culture or the company also follows that. Like when something is new is coming up, it should not take much time to understand, and make sure like everybody is learning on the way. Like something is coming up, literally follow so many people. I also do a lot of learning founders. And coming to people, I really attribute to all the founders in India. Like, I literally follow so many founders. I don't want to name specifically, but all the big founders who are very vocal about their journeys, telling it their all these journeys really help. And so you get a lot of inspirations from various people in your pathway. Like, you'll find, I mean, there could be best sales guys out there, there are best marketing guys out there telling their stories, how they're trying to do, and see how you can put those lessons into your startup. That's how I work. But only one person I am recently having the poster was Brian Johnson, so the famous guy on the health, don't die movement. Same on the similar lines of love yourself and all that. So what I really appreciate him is like, respecting your body is so important. After going to this, I really understood that's so important. And only poster that I have in my room is Brian Johnson. I just don't want to forget that, because being a founder and a lot of business, a lot of things you get into, know, but you don't understand. What he really says is like, don't die. I don't get into the diet aspect of it or going, what he fundamentally says is respect. You have to respect what your body says. Like, there is something what kidney wants, there is something what heart wants, there is something what liver wants. Just give it what it wants. You don't need to abuse with a lot of, it could be mental tensions or food, the kind of things that you are eating. All this, like, this is the biggest lesson that I have learned over the time. And I feel like once he is ready, and if you are able to follow it, 10% of him, or not very specific and getting into body weight of fat percentage of 10 to, that's not required according to me. But having a discipline of respecting your body, that will change your energies. So that will really affect, help your startup or anything that you do. It could be job or anything, but it will really help you. Every time you see a loss or something bad, you always wanted to give up, or everybody wanted to be in the safe space, secured and all that. But always have that, my phrase, like, remember why you started. So I had a very clear path why I started, but it's not for one idea or one thing. But all, it could be person years that I wanted to achieve, or it could be some impact that I wanted to create. So the only phrase I always question is like, whenever I'm low and all that, always remember why I have started it. Habits, okay. As to first, I had all the bad habits earlier, being lazy, not being on time. All this were very bad. But we used to work very hard. But only thing is, like, what I was good at is like taking some new actions very fast, which I am always good. Like, something is required. Suppose even talking to a podcast is a new thing that people is working. I think, okay, I'll come out, I'll do that. So just jumping into something new arenas and all that, I'm very comfortable. Even you ask me to learn sales, I'll go learn sales. If you want me to learn something else which is completely out of my story, where comfort zone, I'm always open to that. That's good habit, I still keep it. Especially nowadays, it's like the meditation and swimming. These two things are just for the entrepreneurship, just to do my job right. I just started doing this because, like, swimming works similarly like meditation, because you have to breathe in and breathe out. So there's no other way in swimming. And I realized that really helps me calming down, making your thoughts, clearing your bad thoughts or thinking clearly. It helps you think clearly and all that. So that really helped me. And badminton was always my sport I used to play, but more of discipline, what time you have to play. So everything is fixed now. And I mean, all thanks, I mean, I got married like 3 years ago, and so many things will change after marriage. And I give a lot of my, I mean, whatever habits, whatever food and everything, all the support to my wife. Like, she literally supports me and everything. Like, she had like very great faith in me that I'll become more successful or whatever I want. She really appreciate what I'm trying to build. So, and I also attribute all of my success sometimes to my friends and family as well, because friends really, like, they always say the same thing, like, we didn't do startup, we are doing stuck up in maybe good MNCs and jobs. They always try to help me whenever I was like bad or need of finance, or it could be moral support or something like that. They always help me, like, do whatever you wanted to do, get into a direction. We are already, I mean, everybody is there. And that's how the support system really helped me to build all these habits. When we started in very early stage, when we were 23, I mean, all you cannot hire anybody, like, you don't have funds to do that. All you have to ask is help of your friends who can deliver whatever is missing piece in the startup. So I started pitching in, where I used to talk to a lot of my friends, because I'm a computer science graduate. I don't need any tech people for me, because I have the enough tech team already. So it could be more of design or sales or marketing, something like that. So we always lack that. So uh, what I feel is like after this 10 years into the game and having what really worked in the team, if you see, even the startups are different, but all the team is still same. So startups have changed, and people really believed in us, and they still continue working for us. So, but always we had a great team. That's what always people or fellow founders used to say, because we had all the things that are required for startup. So first I would say is like, okay, I'll just tell the adjective so that it would be easy for me to tell the quality, so that it could not be a regular jam. So one is first reliability. So being reliable is very very important. Like not having the doubts. Like I've seen a lot of founders who just struggle for a couple of years to find co-founders. So it's so tough. So finding that real reliable people rather than I mean, there are so many attributes to it, but finding reliable people in each aspect of your business, it could be as each domain that you're trying to pick. So at least the first 4 or 5 people of your team has to be like highly reliable. Otherwise, if they have second thoughts of not dedication, I mean, putting dedication here, it's very very difficult. And the second one I would like to say is more on expertise. So you cannot have in 0 to 1 or a early startup, you cannot have somebody mediocre to do any kind of department. It cannot, I mean, you have to be excellent. At least you have the necessary expertise in each of this. Like if I'm a tech guy, I have to be very sure that I'm expert in able to handle the architecture of it, building of it. If I'm trying to get a design guy, he should understand everything. It's not like he has to take some guidance of somebody to do it, or I cannot, I even I'm a CEO, I cannot guide a designer, right? Sometimes it's very tough. Even there is a product guy, I mean, the design choices have to be come from the designer. Even the product is explained by me. So always I used to see like, is this the right guy? I mean, he is having the relevant expertise in coming into the team. So even in Netflix or the books I have, the whole story is like, you cannot have mediocre people sitting in wasting your energies in startup. That's the biggest lesson I have learned, and I burned my fingers in that. And expertise is most important. And then the third one comes is on synergy, the way you are able to form as a team, right? So how well you're able to understand each other's space. uh, what I mean, it flows through contribution, right? So I may be pitching the idea, and the product guy has to come with a product, and the designer has to understand the product and deliver the design. And the customer, I mean, the cycle of feedback again is coming to designer or a product guy, so that he is fixing the backend. So for all this to happen, you have to be very much in sync with what our vision is. Like, I mean, the next quality I would like to pitch is the shared vision. So once you have a shared vision, what happens is like, uh, everyone is aligning with that kind of vision that they're trying to bring. Suppose if Square Box is the game, so are we, our shared vision was to like, are we like really empowering our customers, customer engagement, and helping them convert leads? So we are only trying to measure their conversion. So everybody goal is that. If the customers are not able to understand the product, there is a problem with the designer. Even the designer says like, this is the best thing to do. No, it doesn't work like that. So you have to be uh, aligning with the shared vision, and you are able to trying to achieve that. The next part is integrity and trust. So you have to trust each other very much. Like, when you're kind of blind, like if one guy is going wrong, like the entire startup can go wrong in the initial stages if it is like that. So I really believe that integrity and trust. And a couple of other qualities that I could think, more of sense of humor. I mean, you need all that, uh, not always the serious things that you do in startup, but you should have. Um, so in a team, in the team that we are aligned, like always build talking about the personal stories and personal journeys. If you have the concerns, so you have to build that rapport with your team. And being like light-hearted, you cannot be so serious in doing some things. It doesn't work like that. So that is also one more quality that I would suggest. And versatility is one more thing that as I told, like if something else is required, you should, your ability to adapt it. So I did B2B sales, which I was completely have zero knowledge in Hyno. Like we started learning writing, we started doing marketing, started writing, I mean, the entire learning of sales and marketing tools, I was always ready. Like this is what is required for startup. Even I'm sitting and building a great product that doesn't make sense if your revenues are not coming in. So we're trying. Even my co-founder is not into marketing. He learned all the marketing things that are required. So always we try to wear this multiple hats so that uh, if you're versatile, that really helps. If the guy is coming in, he says, I'm a designer, I don't do except design, I don't get involved there, I don't do that stuff, it's quite difficult. So we have to, at least the co-founders have to be very much versatile in doing some new things always. So you should adapt to that. These are like top 6 7 qualities that is what you ensure in the team. But now things are very much changing fast. I mean, with AI, I feel like all you need is like 6 people, very core to your team. Obviously, the two co-founders, at least the bare minimum, you have to have two founders. So one is this co-founders having like 4 people team who are like supporting them with their GTM, and their one is completely on tech and completely on one on operations. So it could be customer operations or whatever operations. One is operations and other one is like still sales kind of story if it really fits in. So if this kind of people are there, so that is what the bare minimum. I mean, currently like a lot of other operations and functions are being automated or maybe getting disrupted in terms of AI story. But I really believe like now very very small teams can achieve something very very big now. In this decade, I would really see like people like 5 people team becoming unicorns very fast. That is a possibility, especially in the some spaces that I'm seeing in. There is a chance like that. So these functions are there. Like so, very simple. Like the co-founder, I mean, you have the idea, product, distribution. These 3 things are like very very core to it, and the customer support and all that stuff. Finance expert coming outside, so nothing like very core to the team. The finance guy, maybe like, I mean, in 0 to 1, I really don't see a seasoned guy who understands your business and all that is required. But to entire understanding your finances, managing them, operations, I mean, payments and all that, so you need an expert who is able to run your cash flows, I mean, who is giving a lot of guidance on how the fund is coming in, how you are managing the fund, how your next 12 months looks like, how can, I mean, even my hiring decisions going to affect with his, I mean, we have to consult everything with the finance guy to take all these decisions. The happy moment was like, I mean, when I started, like when I say remember where you started, whole point is like how many person years you're gonna achieve. So that's the story. When I really reached the moment of 100% years, so that really was a big moment that okay, I thought I've achieved it. So what really surprised me is like when I give my professor like whatever number, I don't remember that actually when I did in college, but suddenly when I thought back, did I achieve it and all that, then I really saw I have achieved that number on the time. Not it's a bit surprising, but that was very happy moment. But again, still I'm not happy. Like I think I can do a lot more is what I always feel that. So maybe I'm still waiting for the best happiest moment in the entrepreneurial journey. I still feel it. I think coming to the sad, I think yeah, there is a lot. There is a lot very low moments when you are not able to pay or salaries to your employees. Those months are like very very difficult. So those challenges are very tough. And